Back in the day, the words high performance was almost exclusively attached to a certain type of vehicle. 2 doors, short, sloped roofline, big vents. But as time went by, something started happening in the auto industry. Since the 1970s, productions of sedans and wagons have been steadily declining. And in exchange, automakers have been pumping out more and more SUVs and trucks. Just last year, upwards of 90% of new auto sales in the United States were trucks and crossovers. Most people think this is simply due to the fact that Americans just want to have everything extra large. Yes, but what's really driving this go big or go home attitude? To answer that, we need to go back in time to see what the government has been up to. Like every other generation in the 1970s, Americans were going batshit crazy about a shortage of foreign oil. To combat this, the US government imposed stricter laws on auto manufacturers, effectively forcing them to make more reliable cars with better gas mileage. So by the mid-80s, new cars needed to have nearly double the efficiency. Not only did this cost automakers a ton of time, but it began to cost them more and more money to meet regulations. This could have easily led to a collapse within the automotive industry, but luckily there was one type of consumer who can change the entire market.
Yes, and I began to understand there's something women like about a pickup man.
Pickup trucks, America's pride and joy. They weren't always meant for guys with a height complex. At one point, it was a true workman's car. From farms to construction sites, the pickup played a huge role in the development of US infrastructure, and the government was highly aware of this. So while passenger cars got slammed with regulations, pickup truck production had nearly 50% less emission requirements. The laid-back pickup truck regulations gave automakers the idea to convert work trucks into usable daily driver cars for consumers, equipping them with things like radios, leather seats, and additional cargo space. But how do we end up here? And who's responsible for the rise of an era where family cars need to have sports car capabilities? It's no secret that when you have one of these little monsters, not only does your patience meter have to go up, but so does the accumulation of stuff. Car seats, toys, trash. It's a car guy's worst nightmare. Automotive companies took note. Why should hardworking dads get stuck in sedans and god-awful estate cars? In the 70s, Lamborghini unknowingly took a crack at solving this issue with the launch of the Rambo Lambo, the LM002. But this was overshadowed by Jeep, who took a more subtle, family approach to their SUVs. For years, it seemed like only one man can crack the code to an issue that some car brands to this day can't figure out. How to go from this to this. The man with the plan is current McLaren CEO Michael Leiters, who played a key role in the development of Porsche's star SUVs. The sporty sloping roofline was a hit, and just like that, the crossover craze was in full swing. Later, he went on to become Chief Technology Officer at Ferrari and led the development of the brand's first ever SUV, the Purosangue. But anyway, this craze ended up turning into an absolute cultural shift, one that we can see right before our very own eyes. Next time you're on the road or in a parking lot, just count how many SUVs you see compared to sedans. The shift grew so big that brands that had major success selling sedans and wagons have now completely stopped to only sell SUVs and crossovers. Volkswagen discontinued their mega hit, the Passat, and every single wagon in their catalog. And Ford just quit altogether to focus on pickup trucks. And the Mustang. One salesman said it's been 3 years since he last sold a sedan.
And then just with the market shift, we actually don't even sell a Buick sedan anymore. They don't even make a Buick sedan. It's all crossovers.
Some people are trying to fight the inevitable and will exclusively only purchase sedans. But even that's getting harder as regulations are continuing to favor vehicles with a much longer wheelbase. Just look at the poor Toyota Camry that's getting fatter and fatter just to stay in the game. Another noteworthy issue is pedestrian safety. Studies show that nearly 1,200 pedestrian deaths could have been avoided if more sedans were on the road. And that's not including motorcycles and bikes. With that being said, I think it's highly unlikely that the landscape of cars are going to go back to being smaller. In fact, I foresee a future where sedans become the unicorn of the automotive industry, at least for a little while. Just know that this shift and change in creative direction wasn't by automotive choice, but by legislative design.